between like man and woman, or like also try to get beyond like LGBTQ issues or indigenous people issues, and also identity as herself as a Taiwanese, and also Han identity. And she studied in America, so she is in between. So she's dealing with the issue of oppression, but being oppressed, but also oppress somebody. So this is the chain reaction kind of oppression, and the world is not so simple. Everybody is a minority. Everybody can be also a majority at the same time. There are many plural identities, so we have to be aware about that. And it's always interchangeable, exchangeable. Like in her film, writing time lapse, yeah, dealing with this kind of issue, but also by action shooting, way of shooting, because she asked somebody, like interviewee, to shoot or to direct. So always exchangeable. A position is exchangeable. This is very, and also positive coin is very interesting. Positive thing, for HIV positive, but also we can think positively. So this word is very inspiring. And when we think about booming in 1980, also AIDS started to, how to say, arise. And now, in the age of cryptocurrency, we have COVID-19. So I think it's, do you think it's a coincidence? But I think it's something interrelated. Human body and digital technology situation is interrelated. It's not a scientific thing, but as an art critic or maybe artistic perspective, I think it's interrelated somehow. And also, this work, Positive Coin, was produced 2019, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's before COVID-19. Yes. So that's interesting. Somehow, you also did feel something just before the situation has changed. Yes. This is very important. We want to talk about the issue of the post-pandemic situation, also in relation to the work. So talking about for economy, this is very interesting work. By installation, but by concept. Yeah, she told already about that. But for me, this work is dealing with the territorialization, and because water is common, but always divided by the human being, and there is a land, then land is territorial. But always water is circulating, and ocean water can be always be stream in air, so in the cloud, so it's always circulating. So it's not possible to, how to say, to buy or to possess the water. But this work is dealing with this issue, impossible. But it's kind of very provocative and conceptual investigation to ask questions how people can own the water and how much you can, because this is dealing with the objectification, objective, to make the things to this. This is something the human being has done so far in history, and now in the age of 2020, we are facing the post-pandemic situation. So this is something we have to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Question. Comment.
No, I mean, you brought up a lot of things there, I think, particularly drawing the connection between the idea of water as a kind of something that's a boundary produced by the human, in the same way that the way that we conceive of nature, I suppose, is something that's like the inert or the passive, unintelligent ground upon which human and culture arrive. And it's, of course, related to identity and to the particular identity of Taiwan as a colonized place.
Yeah.
Did you perhaps want to speak to Tung a little to the thing that Yukiko mentioned, which is you are very much between Taiwan and the US where you're studying, and how do you see, I suppose, the differences in like decolonial discourse in those places? I think a lot of the time it's a lot of what we read is coming out of the US, but it's such a different context where you are.
Yeah, in Taiwan's context, it's indeed very complex and also intertwined with the U.S. Indigenous movement. So, U.S. indigenous movements started around 1970s. Taiwan's indigenous movements also started around the same time. And as the situation in America and also in Australia, Taiwan is also have people who migrated from China before 1945, and they are also the settler colonizers of this land, and they are still trying to also, especially because the oppression from the China side, PRC China. So the general Taiwan independence consciousness is like growing, and so the need of a legalized, legitified, indigenize this Han Taiwanese identity are growing. So I think like this is a very it's also very problematic for us, like this kind of discourse on like how we really explore the land, how we grow from it, and how we use a different way of method to conquer, to manage the land, how it is different from indigenous people. Thinking this kind of new method would be more civil, it is actually also very problematic as well. So why I see it's this kind of like similarity in this colonizing structures, and how if Taiwan and especially Taiwanese people, Han Taiwanese people, are also learning from different parts of the world that decolonizing, like they are certainly being being oppressed and feeling oppressed, but at the same time as the oppressor, and need to have the act of decolonize as well.
Yeah, also for Japan, because Japan colonized Taiwan, so we have a history in historical relations. When I'm in Taiwan, I feel a lot about the legacy of Japan, what Japan has done by building all some leftovers. Also, the people, especially aged people, who speak Japanese. So there might have been so many hidden memory. Also, how Japanese behave as a like modernized country, because Japan also accepted modernization just after Sharia or that kind of thing. So for me, also as a Japanese, thinking about that, because Japan was modernized, but Japan want to modernize other Asian countries, including Taiwan, and also including indigenous people in Taiwan. So this kind of thing is very much interrelated. Mm-hmm. We are from different countries, but we share this kind of modernization issue to be oppressed. Also, this is can be extended into ocean-based network, because before modernization, there was a much more network and communication throughout the ocean. And there is a Pacific Ocean, also South China Sea, or also surrounding Japan, there is Japan Sea. So ship-based communication and water current brought the people or things to many islands. So there was a connecting islands, and I want to raise Hanabusa archipelago. In Japanese, we say Kasai Retto, Hanabusa Retto. This is, if you start to see the map, it's a very long archipelago, like the top of mountains, and most of the area is under sea, but it's connected, and it's a volcano and earthquakes. So also geologically very similar, and we share the same risk also. So from throughout from Sakhalin and Kuril Island, and going to Alaska throughout Kamchatka Peninsula to northern part of America, but also throughout Japanese archipelago. I call Japan as an archipelago. Then a part of Hanabusa archipelago. Then reaching to Taiwan via Okinawa, then Philippines and Indonesia and Australia. So we share the same kind of how to say natural area, nature area, and this is something we better to we think about after the modernization or after 150 years.
Yeah, because the ocean is also something that's very much a concern in your own curatorial work and research. Do you want to speak a little about the project that you've been working on, Open Water?
Okay. Yeah, I've been working with I'm working my recent project called Open Water. But I've been curating media art since 1990 for about 30 years. And in this process, I was always interested in the information process, not the representational images or stories. Then, because I was like that, I was very much interested not only digital-based data, but also other information flows like water or people like immigrants or refugees including, and also the climate, wind, air, or something like that. So especially after 2011, it was very big. There was very big East Japan earthquake and tsunami, followed by Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant explosion. Then I was aware, and I started to think how Japan perceived and received modernization from Europe, America. Then I started to research geology or nature, culture, history of Japan again, because we in Japan, it's not easy to study a contemporary history, especially 20th century, in Taiwan or China or Korea. They know the history, what the Japanese government, Japan has done to those countries. But somehow Japanese people has no idea about the history of 20th century. Yeah, so this is the problem. So we need to share the information. There are very big gap between each country, what we have learned in history, and always there is a different kind of interpretation or prejudices, and making the discrimination more and more discrimination between the country and the culture. Like, for example, South China Sea is called by other name from other countries. So always the naming, when we see that Wikipedia is the battleground of how to define the name and define the meaning. This is a very interesting situation. But now we are connected like that online, and we have a space, a possibility to talk and to see the differences together. So this is a maybe possible way of communication for the future. Especially in the age of post-pandemic, it's getting much more easier to communicate online. But you've been also dealing with this issue, like on the South China Sea. Please tell us more about that, your concept.
Yes. Yeah, and especially you were talking and also mentioned the like Wikipedia also as the battleground, and
Mhm.
it's indeed happening, and I think it's also very it's a reference for how these indigenous people can use for example like Wikipedia because like there is
Mm.
so many oral history that it's happening for indigenous cultures, but oral history doesn't equals to written history or written
Mm.
history in books with ISBN codes for
Mm.
Wikipedia. So it is not registered public worldwide to others. As
Mm.
well as many victims in the political situation, because
Mhm.
many of them are not being uh, resurrected or oppressed by especially the government. So their document was being erased. And it's like for people to use years of interviews, oral research to find their stories. So these stories are also not being seen in Wikipedia, and that would be
Mm.
also one of the problem. And regarding to the
Mm.
name of the South China Sea, indeed, if it's called South China Sea, it's a very China-centered name, because for example, like for
Mm.
Philippines, it will be North Sea, and for different
Mm.
for different area that should have different callings of these areas. Um, so yeah, so I think the naming it's also very political here, and how like the naming and especially the knowledge building process is also become a battleground um, as well.
Mm. Indigenous people didn't have a letter, so yeah, just oral culture, and European culture had a letter, and they had some desire to how to say to keep as a document to archive. So there also is the original museum or library or that kind of. Of course, library came out from Alexandria, but not from Asia. Yeah, of course, in China there are letters, but in Japan, we originally we didn't have letters. We imported Chinese letter. Then we made a Japanese how to write Japanese letters. We invented Japanese letters, but also we didn't have. Also, Indian people like Ainu in Japan didn't have. So there is a two type of culture. One is to have a letters and to keep and to possess and to archive. So, and most of the Asian country, also indigenous people all over the world, they don't have this kind of culture to read, to archive. So it means maybe not possessing because indigenous people uh, shared. Their life was based on a shared culture. So this is totally different. So we have to also think about this kind of possibility also from Asian culture based in rather sharing culture originally. Also sea-based network,
Mhm.
commons.
Yes. Yeah, during the Fraconomy workshop, we're indeed thinking about different kind of ownership
Mm.
possibilities,
Mm.
thinking about the common, how people could see the natural resources as a kind of like public good. And we also
Mm.
talk about the tragic of public goods. It means that if everybody think it can be used um, freely and everybody can use it, then it
Mm.
will like everybody will explore it. So there also need to be sort of kind of like transparency and regulations, negotiation process between different group on using it. Um,
Mm.
but I also would like to respond, and it was for me very interesting way to see it. It's for many indigenous group. Especially this is provided by Namo Novu, one of the indigenous movement organizers. He said that for his tribe, there isn't kind of like ownership, sole ownership to the land. The ownership, it's actually a way of like manage it, the way that people use it. So we own sort of the crops that it's growing from the land, but not the land itself. And the reason nations are having taxations on the land ownership and seeing the land as a property. But there should be like there would be also have many arguments on how this kind of idea on taxation would be an ideal way on thinking about using the natural resources.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you said about ways of commenting for economy, and I suppose in that project, and also kind of provocatively in Positive Coin, you're using technological tools to make clear the codes or the value that's inherent in certain common resources. But then you also spoke about the kind of the restrictions of Wikipedia and technological tools, and of course there's a lot of discourse around the drawbacks of the surveillance of digital technology. Maybe the question I'm asking is, how do you navigate that? What technological tools do you use, or like what suggestions do you have? Kind of, you're clearly like super digitally literate. Is there a way to make that accessible for a broad swathe of people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a great question. I think for my own experiences, because like I was first doing film and then slowly moved to contemporary art and art technology. And in my experiences on cinema industry, it is a very, very gendered industry. And I feel like, for example, doing having camera shots, dealing with editing software, coloring software, it's all like different kinds of technologies. But with that very gendered situation, I couldn't like really learn well, because I couldn't teach well, or I could not access easily to the knowledge that I want. So then I think the most important thing for me to be able to know and access to this open source technology or various kind of technology is to first like cultivate my learning environment, or the people that around me. For me, I'm very lucky being able to in touch with civic tech group in Taiwan, and this group of people are very welcoming and have like consciousness on difference of people, and so being along with them, I think I have a very good opportunity to learn more about these technologies.
Interesting. You thought about the film industry like a more gender industry.
Yes.
So you are aware, because it's not gender is everywhere. Not only the human beings and relations, but also in the technology or some other places. And especially the film industry, film were invented later part of 19th century. So it's actually was the technology and the culture of 20th century. Actually, and it's based on the visual-based, optical-based technology, and it's a metaphor of shooting. And also, this is so much related to art industry, art world, because art is based on the visually based, painting or sculpture, any other things, and mostly in art scene, visual art dominate. This is also very maybe 20th century kind of. So we can shift to more sensual things, not visual, sound or physical, or also smell or that kind of thing. Because when I'm on a boat or on the ocean, always wind and smell and always like losing balance, and it's something very more tactile. So it's something losing our balance, losing our identity, and losing visual-based, how to say, senses. This is a very important aspect when we talk about the ocean. And ocean can be related as a new possibility of 21st century.
Yes.
If we can open the ocean, if we can open ocean, because ocean is so much colonized. This is the topic of economy.
I think because we're coming up to 11, perhaps we should open the floor to questions from any audience or participants. You can feel free to put it in chat, or there's also a question and answer function, which might be novel. Otherwise, if there's no questions, then we can keep talking forever.
How long? Maybe one verse each or something to summarize or to tell the impression from each.
Sure.
Sure. Who starts?
Go ahead, Yukiko.
I was at the economy installation yesterday. Then I felt it's just starting point, and we can start. We can keep on discussions. Also, the work will be progress for further. So I hope we can start to communicate. Also, three of us, but also Alisa or some other people who are interested in. Also, inviting some other people from other countries or surrounding country, South China Sea. Possibly to so it will be a nice platform to discuss and to seek the new possibility of ocean-based network and society decentralized, not so much human-centralized society in post-pandemic era. So this is my idea. Maybe we can start something.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I go to Hualien. So we finished working Paragene project yesterday. So I have one more week to spend time in eastern part of Taiwan, in Hualien, and possibly in Taichung. I'm happy to be there. I was there. I was in Taichung 5 years ago, and I'm going to meet some other people and to be inside the culture of indigenous culture, and also near the ocean. It's Pacific, not the South China Sea, but yes. I can feel something related to Japan and Australia.
Yeah, very much. I think I would like to have a platform for ongoing conversation, and I'll mention that this recorded talk will be available to watch on Hyphae online, and that Yukiko is also writing a more in-depth written piece discussing these themes and discussing the work of Tong, which will be published mid-January in both English and Chinese, and that the major launch of Hyphae will be in March, at which time the whole full first issue will be available to read on Beaker browser. And that we've got a mailing list, so you can be reminded if you would like, which I will put in the chat in a moment. Yes, so definitely ongoing and in development project.
And Tutun?
Yes. So I'm thinking, yeah, there's like currently so many that indigenous issue that has been going on. For example, like Taiwan, if you go to Hualien Interlocus area, there is the Asian cement company is still excavating and mining their land. And if you go to Taidong in Puyuma area, there is the solar panel uh, kind of like struggle and dispute happening in Puyuma area. Like solar power panels are building on their the end of their riverbed. So I think indeed this kind of thing of like uh, reappropriating the land and this fight with the land, it's currently like still happening, and an alternative way of thinking about ocean, about like how ocean provides us a different opportunity. What is the economics that have happened on the ocean area? It's pressing for us to know, and as an alternative way to solve this struggle and solve these problems. And so I'm also very looking forward to make the economy happen and have the iterated version in the future.
Thanks so much, both of you. No one's posted any questions, so I think we can leave it there. And yeah, thank you so much for your insight and your commitment to the project. I thought, yeah, the final comment about the solar panels in Puyuma territory is just so emblematic of the complexity of the problem, or like the complexity of the situation, I should say, in that it's not sort of a straightforward solar power is good or anything like that. There are a lot more relationships entangled in places that you can only become aware of through long thought and conversation and in situation in those places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. It's really nice seeing you all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So, okay.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. We'll get in touch later.
Time zone.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Keep in touch.
Okay. Keep in touch. Thank you for all the
Yeah.
attendees.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ah, 怎么样？
可是到就是你开始讲之后，画面就整个定格，
哦，
声音是正常的，然后换日本人讲的时候，就直播全部断掉。
OK，直播就是整个废。
我觉得你们是不要用字幕，可是你最近好像有点怪怪的，下次可以换。
Done so far in the history.
It's like the inert or the passive, unintelligent ground upon which human and culture arrive. And it's, of course, related to identity and to the particular identity of Taiwan as a colonized place. Did you perhaps want to?
哇，好烂哦！这个网友。
Human being has done so far in the history, and now in the age of 2020, we are facing the post-pandemic situation. So this is something we have to talk about.
Yeah, I think.
Great question. Comment.
No, I mean, you brought up a lot of things there. I think particularly drawing the connection between the idea of water as a kind of something that's a boundary produced by the human, in the same way that the all ready to go?
Hey.
All ready to go?
The word called ghost keepers. It was at the time when I initiated at the time when I was in New York, and also at the end of the field research. Well, because when doing the writing the time lag, at the end I visit the Amis tribe and visit a shaman called Gading Hong An. Grandma Gading Hong An, the shaman Gading Hong An. When I visited her, she happened to be possessed by her grandfather's spirit, and the grandfather's spirit was very angry, and the spirit let out his anger through Gading Hong An's body, and I was actually pretty surprised at the time because I thought spirits wouldn't should go peacefully at the time, naively expecting the spirits should go peacefully to another world.